I volunteered to bring lunch to my fiancée at her office. Just a sweet surprise before her big pitch. When I walked in, her assistant looked nervous. I heard muffled laughter behind the janitor's closet. Curious, I opened the door. And what I saw made me drop the sandwich tray right there on the tile floor. It wasn't just what she was doing. It was who she was doing it with. Her name was Natalie. We were engaged for 9 months, together for 3 years. Everyone said we were the perfect couple. I was the quiet guy in HR. She was the marketing star at a mid-sized software company. Big personality. Big smile. She had this way of making everyone feel like they mattered, especially me. Or so I thought. She had a big presentation that day. Told me how nervous she was the night before. Said, if you brought me lunch, I'd probably cry from happiness. So I did. Panera bag in one hand, coffee in the other. I even added a little post-it that said, you got this. I walked into the office just after noon. Her assistant looked up from her desk and froze. Oh, hey. Did she know you were coming? No. I smiled. Wanted to surprise her. She hesitated. She might be in a meeting. Then I heard the laughter. Muffled. From behind the janitor's closet at the end of the hall. The door was cracked. Someone whispered something. Then another laugh. A low male voice. And Natalie's, unmistakable. Giddy. Breathless. I stepped closer. The cleaning cart was parked halfway inside. A bucket of murky mop water sat just outside the door. I pushed it open, and time stopped. She was leaning against the shelves, blouse half open, one leg hooked around the waist of the building's night janitor. Frank. He was old. Not elderly, just rough. Greasy uniform shirt. A mouthful of yellowed teeth. He'd once cornered me in the elevator and asked if I had extra socks. I thought he was drunk. Now he was kissing my fiancée like he owned her. She froze when she saw me. Didn't even fix her shirt right away. Frank turned, confused. Then grinned. Well, he said, this is awkward. I didn't say a word. I just dropped the lunch tray and walked out. She chased after me barefoot, yelling, it's not what you think, as if that was supposed to work. In the parking lot, she grabbed my arm. You weren't supposed to see that. That's what she said. Not, I'm sorry. Not, it was a mistake. Just, you weren't supposed to see it. I drove off. Didn't answer her texts. Didn't check my phone for 3 days. But I couldn't erase the image. Natalie, in the janitor's closet, laughing like I'd never made her laugh. 3 days passed. No messages from me. 37 from her. She showed up at my place on the 4th day. I hadn't left the couch in that time. I wasn't eating. Just looping the moment in my head, the janitor's laugh, her blouse, the bucket of mop water next to my lunch. When I opened the door, she looked radiant. No tears. No makeup smeared. No real shame. Just Natalie. Perfect hair. Coffee in hand. Like this was a casual check-in. Can we talk? She said, like nothing was shattered. I stepped aside. She walked in like she still lived there. Like this was her place. She sat on the couch where I had just been curled into a ball, turned to me, and crossed her legs. Look, she began, you walking in like that, it wasn't supposed to happen. I stayed silent. I wasn't planning on you finding out. I needed a release, okay. My throat tightened. With him. I croaked. She raised an eyebrow. Frank's harmless. Frank cleans toilets. She smirked, and yet somehow still managed to make me feel seen. I flinched. She leaned forward, resting her elbows on her knees like she was explaining something to a child. You want honesty? She said. Fine. You're boring. I blinked. You make good coffee. You fold laundry. You're sweet. Too sweet. It's like living with a golden retriever. Predictable. Loyal. Completely unsexy. Tears welled up in my eyes. She noticed. And smiled. I mean, look at you, she continued. You're crying over me. After everything. She shook her head like she pitied me. You know what the worst part is? She asked. You're not even angry. You're just heartbroken. That's so you. I loved you, I whispered. I know, she said, standing up. That's why it was so easy. That stopped me. She grabbed her coat and looked me dead in the eye. You were never going to leave me. That's what made this whole thing work. You're just easy to lie to. She walked to the door, then turned back. I mean, you brought me lunch, for crying out loud. The door clicked behind her. I stood there, trembling, cheeks wet. Still trying to think of a reason not to forgive her. Still hoping, deep down, that she'd turn around and say it was all a mistake. But she didn't. And in that silence, I finally felt something break. Not love. Not grief. Something colder. Something I hadn't felt before. A quiet thought. She needs to pay. I didn't text her. Didn't call. Didn't even look at her social media. I went quiet, but not because I was broken. Because I was listening. You learn a lot when you stop reacting. First, I started making a list. I called it investment log. A plain yellow legal pad. On it, I wrote down everything I'd done for her in 3 years. Paid her car insurance after her second fender bender. Co-signed her lease when her credit didn't clear. Helped build her personal website from scratch. I did the hosting, design, SEO. Covered 3 months of her therapy bills during her layoff. Gave up a promotion in Atlanta so she wouldn't have to move. Next to each line, I put a dollar amount. Not exact, just enough to show the pattern. The last item on the list? My self-respect. That one didn't have a number. I stared at the page for hours. And something clicked. She hadn't just cheated. She trained me to believe my worth was in being useful. Replaceable. Sweet. Weak. But what if I flipped the script? What if I stopped playing support character in her perfect little image? I knew her weaknesses. All of them. Her brand. Her reputation. Her carefully curated girl boss image. Natalie's online presence was everything. Her job in marketing was mostly freelance now, client-based, Instagram-driven, image-obsessed. She told me once, everything depends on perception. If I look successful, people treat me like I am. So I stopped thinking like a hurt man and started thinking like a strategist. I reopened her website's backend. I still had full admin access. She never revoked it. She didn't think I was capable of revenge. Then I went into her email. Not to snoop. Just to check one thing. Her contract clients. I knew most of them. I'd helped build the pitch decks. I made a spreadsheet. I labeled them. Weak, strong, personal ties, at risk. She had 3 big retainer clients. Lose one, she'd stagger. Lose 2, she'd spiral. I didn't plan to destroy her. I planned to pull the curtain. Make the truth visible. Make her sweat. One action at a time. No drama. No yelling. No confrontation. Just exposure. The kind that eats your confidence from the inside out. That night, I wrote down 4 steps. 1. Disrupt her image. 2. Expose her dishonesty. 3. Trigger client doubt. 4. Let her feel powerless, the way she made me feel. I wasn't ready to execute. Not yet. But I'd taken the first breath. And I'd never felt more alive. The first strike had to be clean. No drama. No revenge posts. Just quiet unraveling. Natalie's website was hosted on a platform I'd built for her in the early months of our relationship, back when I thought love meant doing everything she asked before she even asked. She never changed the admin login. So I logged in. The homepage was a polished brag board, testimonials, case studies, lifestyle shots of her in rented studios holding empty coffee mugs. Under the Clients tab, she listed companies she never actually worked with, just emailed once or pitched to. She called it credibility building. I renamed the tab, From Clients to Fiction. Just that one word. I didn't delete anything. Didn't even touch the layout. I simply let people draw their own conclusions. Then I created a redirect on one of the pages that had her most viewed blog post, a fluffy, how to land luxury clients with zero budget. Now, when someone clicked it, it redirected to a blank page with one sentence. Perception is fragile. I checked analytics the next day. Page views dropped by 37%. Time on site plummeted. Bounce rate exploded. That was the first ripple. The second? Her freelance design portfolio. She hosted it on a separate Behance-like site. I'd helped her upload it years ago. She used my mock-ups in 3 of her top case studies. I emailed the site's admin with proof that the images were mine, raw files, metadata, timestamps. They took it down. No warning. Just gone. By Friday morning, 2 of her client links were broken. I waited. Didn't reach out. Didn't reply to her texts asking, "Are you okay?" But I knew she'd start feeling it soon. And she did. Saturday night, she posted a story. "If you've had issues with my site this week, please DM me. We're doing updates." Lie. Then she texted me. "I'm getting weird messages. Did you mess with my site?" I didn't reply. Sunday morning, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. One of her clients. "Hi. Is this Nick? Natalie said you used to help with her designs. She's missing some deliverables. Is she okay?" I paused, then simply said, "You should probably ask her." She was unraveling now. Slowly. Not publicly, not yet, but under the surface. Where it really hurts. Where doubt lives. That night, she posted another story. We're all human. Sometimes people turn on you when they're hurting. No names. No direct shot. But the mask had slipped. And I knew something she didn't. I was just getting started. I underestimated her. I thought I was the only one keeping receipts. I was wrong. Monday morning, I checked my work email and found a message flagged as urgent from HR. Subject line, confidential report regarding code of conduct. Inside was a formal notice. I was under internal review for alleged harassment of a former partner and misuse of company systems. Attached, screenshots of me logged into Natalie's website dashboard. A cropped line from a private message I'd once sent her, months ago, venting about a colleague. Twisted to look like a threat. She hadn't just saved everything. She had curated it. I was immediately placed on administrative leave pending investigation. Salary frozen. Access revoked. Just like that. 2 hours later, my phone buzzed again. Email from my bank, fraud alert. Someone had flagged unusual purchases from a new device on my personal credit card. I logged in. 3 separate $49 subscriptions to content monitoring services, all set up the night before, using my billing info. I knew what that was. She was pre-building her legal defense. If I escalated, she'd claim I'd been stalking her. Then came the final gut punch. An old college friend, someone I hadn't spoken to in months, messaged me. Hey man, not sure what's going on between you two, but Natalie posted something about emotional sabotage and unsafe behavior. I know that's vague, but people are already talking. She hadn't said my name, but I was the only ex she had. And I wasn't the one posting Instagram stories about healing over piano music. I checked her profile. New post. Photo of her holding a coffee mug, empty, of course, gazing out a window. Caption. You don't realize how fragile safety feels until someone you trusted rewrites your story. But I refuse to be silenced. The comments were what you'd expect. Proud of you for speaking up. You're so strong. He doesn't deserve your energy. I stared at the screen, frozen. This was her world now. Narrative? Hers. Power? Hers. My job? Suspended. My image? Twisting in the wind. She was doing what she did best, making herself the victim while engineering every move in private. And me? I was back to sitting on the floor of my apartment, wondering if I'd gone too far. If I'd started a fire I couldn't contain. But then, I opened my laptop, scrolled through the archive I hadn't touched yet. The folder marked, before the engagement. Inside were messages. From a year ago. Conversations I'd forgotten I screenshotted. Natalie. Flirting with clients. Offering trade deals for exposure. Forwarding confidential pitch decks from companies she later publicly won against. She had skeletons. Real ones. And I had the key. She thought she'd buried me. But she forgot who helped her build her entire brand from scratch. I didn't need revenge. I needed reputation correction. Natalie's image was her currency. She sold herself to clients as an expert in ethical marketing, authentic voice, transparent scaling, community-driven strategy. But her actual strategy? Stolen files, manipulated case studies. And those DMs I found in the before the engagement folder? They were gold. One was from a year ago. She messaged a junior designer at a competing agency, asking for just a peek at their pitch deck. She offered him exposure in exchange for access. Another? She jokingly called a client's assistant, an easy yes if you flirt first. I gathered everything. Every line she sent. Every screenshot that showed her skimming from others, falsifying timelines, exploiting interns for unpaid labor. I compiled it into a simple, clean PDF. No colors. No commentary. Just dates, screenshots, source links, and context. Then I uploaded it to a burner Google Drive, titled, Natalie, last name. Brand audit. I sent it to 3 inboxes. 1. A mid-sized design firm that just partnered with her. 2. A marketing ethics watchdog account on LinkedIn. 3. Her old professor, the one who regularly invites her to speak at workshops about integrity in branding. No threats. No fake names. Just, thought this might be relevant before your next collaboration. By Friday it was working. She posted a clarity video on Instagram, teary-eyed. Some people can't stand to see you shine. They dig through your past to poison your present. But this time, the comments weren't unanimous. Wait, did you actually offer money for that deck? Why's your site down again? Is this about that PDF going around? I watched the unraveling from my kitchen table. Didn't smile. Didn't celebrate. just sipped coffee, and waited. That night, I got a call from a blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. It was her. "I don't know what you're trying to prove, but you're hurting yourself more than me." I saved the message. Didn't reply. The next morning, one of her clients, a subscription-based cosmetics company, removed her testimonial from their website. Then another pulled her off their ambassador list. Her LinkedIn profile dropped from booked for Q4 to exploring new projects. She knew it was me, but she couldn't prove it. And even if she could, she'd never risk making the story louder. I wasn't the sweet guy on the couch anymore. Now I was a ghost in the wires. A quiet shadow holding truth. And the best part? I still hadn't used the biggest file I had. The one from her grant application. The one where she listed a non-existent team to qualify for $8,000 in startup funds. The one with her e-signature. It sat in my folder, untouched. Still waiting. Still ready. I thought I had her. I thought the tide had turned for good. But Natalie isn't built like other people. She doesn't just recover. She reinvents. It started with a rebrand. I woke up Sunday morning to find all her accounts wiped. Website gone. Instagram cleared. LinkedIn profile deactivated. For 24 hours, she disappeared. Then on Monday, she came back. New name, new handle, new color palette, even a new logo. Natalie Ray, Brand Alchemy Consultant. She didn't just return. She transformed. She posted a 3-minute video titled The Reset. Tearful, vulnerable. After surviving digital harassment, I had to step away and remember who I was before I let others define me. She never said my name, never referenced the files, never denied anything. She just stepped around it, like it was noise she had spiritually outgrown. She even started a hashtag rise from it. And it worked. Her followers flooded back. Brands reposted her new launch. She announced a course, Rebuild Your Story, turning reputation damage into revenue. It sold out in 4 hours. Then came the real blow. My HR department called. I'd been officially terminated. No charges. No criminal accusations. But the internal report cited pattern behavior inconsistent with company values and digital misconduct connected to a personal conflict. I tried to appeal. Didn't matter. I was out. No severance. No reference. Just gone. I sat in my apartment with the blinds closed, staring at my phone, watching Natalie's new feed light up with comments like, "Your story gives me hope. People tried to ruin you, and look at you now. You are untouchable." She didn't just survive the storm. She bottled it, turned it into product. Then I got a knock at the door. An envelope. Inside, a letter from her attorney. Cease and desist. Language clear. Any further dissemination of materials believed to be connected to Ms. Natalie last name will be considered targeted defamation and legally actionable. She was baiting me now, daring me to go further, knowing that if I did, she could flip the narrative again, this time with legal backing. I was stuck. No job, no platform. And now, a paper wall between me and the one move I'd been holding in reserve. That file. The grant application. The fraud. It could end her. But if I used it now, she'd spin it before it landed. She'd make it about stalking, about online violence, about me. I closed my laptop, sat back, breathing shallow. I'd been ahead. And now? Now I was alone again. And the world thought she was healing. She thought I was cornered. She thought the cease and desist would paralyze me. It did for a while. But there's a difference between illegal and inconvenient. And I finally understood what Natalie feared most. Not exposure. Accountability. The kind you don't see coming. So I stopped trying to break her publicly and started working behind closed doors. First, I compiled the fraud documents, the full package. The $8,000 grant application, the fabricated names, the non-existent subcontractors, the digitally signed invoices for work never performed. Then I did something unexpected. I didn't send it to journalists. I didn't leak it online. I sent it quietly to the funding organization that issued the grant. They weren't a giant federal entity. They were local, small, bureaucratic, slower, but extremely detailed, and very protective of their reputation. The email was simple. Dear Board, I'm submitting this documentation for internal review. As a former partner of Ms. Natalie last name, I've recently discovered she may have violated the terms of her grant. Please see attached. No threats. No drama. Just a paper trail. Then I waited. I didn't check social media. I didn't stalk her new page. I just lived. For once. But I knew when it hit. Because 3 things happened in 24 hours. First, Natalie pulled down her new course. No announcement. Just gone. Second, she deleted the brand alchemy consultant title from her LinkedIn headline and changed it to simply freelance. And third, a friend of hers, one of the loudest offenders online, posted a cryptic tweet. The truth always finds its own platform, no matter how loud the branding is. No names. But the silence after was louder than anything she'd ever posted. I checked her page. Fewer likes. Fewer comments. No new video. Just a pin quote. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is disappear. She hadn't disappeared, but her confidence had, because she knew someone was watching. Not raging. Not reacting. Just documenting. I didn't respond to her texts. Not even the short one that came 2 days later. Can we talk? I archived it. I wasn't chasing her anymore. She had spent months turning me into a ghost. Now she had to live with one. And I wasn't even close to done. Because the Grand Office? They weren't the only ones interested in false business filings. I thought I had taken everything back. I thought she was cornered. I was wrong. Natalie always had one weapon left. One I'd forgotten about. Me. More specifically, my past. The part of me I buried. Years ago, before we met, I had a breakdown. I don't talk about it much. Panic attacks. Missed work. A brief stay at a crisis facility. I got help. I rebuilt. But I never told many people. Only a few. Natalie was one of them. She used to sit beside me when I couldn't breathe. Held my hand when the walls felt like they were closing in. She said, "You're safe with me." That was her line. The one she weaponized. Because 2 days after her site went quiet, my inbox lit up. A message forwarded from a former colleague. Attached? A PDF. A concerned client alert sent anonymously. It claimed I had a history of emotional instability and had previously been placed under psychological supervision for behavior deemed unpredictable. The wording was clever. Not wrong. But twisted. No dates. No diagnoses. Just vague truth, presented like a threat. That's what Natalie did best. She didn't lie. She reframed. 3 more contacts sent the same thing. Someone was circulating it. Someone who knew just enough. And then the public post. It was short. A tweet. No names. Just, if someone has to hide their mental health history from you, ask why. Tens of thousands of likes. I didn't need to guess who it was about. People remembered me. The quiet guy. The ex. The hacker. Her people jumped in. Protect your peace. You're not responsible for his breakdown. She owes you no explanation for cutting him out. They painted her as the survivor again. The strong one. The one who got away from toxicity. And me? I was the unstable one. The ghost who couldn't let go. And for the first time in this entire war, I felt exhausted. Not because I lost, but because she had turned my truth into a weapon. Something I once trusted her with, used now to erase everything else. I almost gave up. Almost deleted everything. The files. The evidence. The last of the proof. Until I got an email. From the Grand Office. No greeting. Just a subject line. Application Review Phase 2. And the body. We've escalated the findings to the Small Business Oversight Board, requesting full documentation of the team members listed, tax IDs, and proof of deliverables within 10 business days. Noncompliance may result in recovery actions and criminal referral. My hands shook. They weren't asking questions anymore. They were preparing charges. Natalie didn't know yet. The world thought she'd won. But there was a shadow growing just behind her spotlight. And I held the match. She didn't see it coming. For once, Natalie didn't anticipate the blow. 10 days passed since the last email from the Oversight Board. I said nothing. Did nothing. Just let the quiet move around me. Then, this morning, she showed up. No car. No makeup. No filter. Just Natalie. Standing outside my apartment door like the past 6 months hadn't happened. I opened it. Said nothing. She handed me a letter. Hands shaking. I got this, she whispered. It was from the board. An official notice of escalation. Possible recovery of misused federal funds. Pending criminal referral for falsified documentation. Requested response. Immediate. She looked like a child who had lost the script. I didn't think they'd follow through, she said, voice cracking. I thought it was bluff. A scare tactic. I didn't move. She sat on the floor. Right there, in my hallway. Please, she said, voice nearly silent. Don't send the rest. I watched her. This woman who once told me I was weak. That I was a footnote. that I'd never do anything without permission. Now she was asking me for mercy. I can't undo what I did, she whispered. And I don't expect you to forgive me. But if you go through with this, they'll destroy everything. My name. My record. I'll never work again. She looked up, tears finally spilling. I'll disappear. I'll take my name off everything. I'll delete the platform. I'll admit what I did to every client if I have to. Just don't press that final button. She reached for my hand. Not to hold it, but to beg. I don't have anyone else, she choked. The silence stretched. I looked down at her, then walked back into my apartment. She didn't follow. She just sat there, breathing shallow. I opened my laptop. The final file was sitting there. Prepared. Packaged. One click from upload. Her fake team names. Falsified invoice trails. Screenshots of her forging digital signatures. All of it. I hovered over the send button. Then I stopped, and I dragged it to the trash. Deleted. For good. I walked back to the hallway. She looked up, confused. You didn't. No, I said. She broke. Head in her hands, sobbing. Not dramatic tears. Real ones. Guttural. Quiet. Empty. I stood above her for a while. Not angry. Not vindicated. Just finished. And I said the only thing left to say. The question I've carried through this entire story. What would you do in my place?